5. Peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum. Here with my brother Noor and Muhammad Athar. Guys, how are you guys? It's been a long day. I coined today as something I would like to learn a little bit more about, and you guys would too, with everything going on. First of all, let's catch up on how's everybody feeling? What's going on with you guys?
Man, it's been a crazy
turn of events. Hey, Athar, man, did you mute yourself? You just muted.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I accidentally muted myself.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's been a really crazy weekend, man. I think everyone's shocked, but everyone, expected this to happen. Yaser, what are your thoughts?
Man, I mean, as soon as this pandemic began, I literally made a statement to my family, like, if these checks don't get to people in time, if unemployment rises. Remember several years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, when Occupy Wall Street happened? I was like, I knew it was going to happen again. I knew riots and stuff. And like this stuff about, police brutality and this, nothing as much has changed since the time of Malcolm X. But man, Noor said something funny to me the other day. Go ahead, Noor. You're like, I left my country for this. I thought.
Yeah, I feel stressed, man. I was thinking about it like all this week. I said, man, I saw enough of my country. I just ran away from it. I can't believe, like, and till I came here, I just have 2 years of fun and enjoyment, and that's it. They follow me right now. All these riots and stuff. Wherever I go, they follow me. Yeah.
No, I mean, it is what it is.
I feel like that's like a movie, when you see, I've seen it in a movie. I don't know which movie, but I've seen it for sure. A pandemic, suddenly a disease shows up, riots all around the country, and things, the U.S. Army deployed. I feel there's something happening. Maybe zombies. I don't know.
Zombies, man.
Let's wait for them right now.
Yeah. Anyhow, so
I know, like, one thing you wanted to talk about was the history of, like, these protests, and how the past is, or the present is like a reflection of the past. I'd love for you to dive deeper into that if you could.
I mean, I'm not anything pro about it, but I would recommend. My wife actually, throughout high school, I know Noor did a project on this too, but anytime in high school I had to write a research paper, or also I think in 8th grade and 11th grade we had to do a research paper or something, someone who affected American history and stuff, I wrote it on Malcolm X. And I copped out, and I read like his shorter Spark Notes versions of things, but now this is the autobiography of Malcolm X. So a lot of it is written by him, majority of it. If not, it's also his daughter compiled it. And mashallah, dude, he had like 5 or 6 daughters, subhanallah. And first of all, have you guys seen the movie on Netflix? Athar, Noor? Then let's make this thing where we just talk about what do you know about Malcolm X, and eventually let's come back to this topic in another episode. Where after we watch the movie, if anyone has not seen it yet. Denzel Washington plays as Malcolm X. Beautiful movie, man. I only got good things to say about it. Like the first half of the movie is kind of messed up. I mean, he was into drugs and womanizing and a lot of strain. Not the strain, but the first half of the movie is kind of messed up because his life was like that. And then he goes to prison, and then he enters Nation of Islam. Now, Noor, let me ask you: do you know what Nation of Islam is?
I heard of it. I don't have much good idea about it. You can explain it for me.
What about you, Athar?
It was. I know, like, a huge name was Elijah Muhammad, right?
Yeah, so they're kind of like the Ahmadis and Qadianis, where they take a prophet after Prophet Muhammad, so they're not mainstream Islam. But Nation of Islam evolved very strangely because, again, I'm not an expert or anything about this, but basically they were cut off from Muslim discourse. They were not part of Medina University or Azhar, and these are. It's proof of Islam came to America way before as the Nation of Islam. African Americans who remembered their faith from back when they were in Africa, from generations ago, reclaimed their faith and came about as Nation of Islam. They still say Allah. They still say some other things, but it's basically strange. I'm not an expert about it, but
it's pretty prevalent in a lot of communities across U.S.
Correct. My brother's a chaplain, and when he did his prison rotations and things like that. Yes, Islam is the fastest growing religion in America and also in the prison system. So anyone who's out there as a chaplain, give a shout out to that. But I have to just play a clip real quick from this video that like my wife was just showing me on YouTube. Thank her. And here we go. Let's just watch. Raise your audio up. Let's do this.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Mr. Moderator, our distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, our friends and our enemies.
And I'm just going to skip somewhere into it.
There have been many of our people across the country from all walks of life who have taken it upon themselves to try and pool their ideas and to come up with some kind of solution to the problem that confronts all of our people.
Confronts all of our people, man.
And tonight we are here to try and get an understanding of what it is they've come up with. Also, recently, when I was blessed to make a trip or a pilgrimage, a religious pilgrimage to the holy city of Mecca, where I met many people from all over the world, plus spent many weeks in Africa, trying to broaden my own scope and get more of an open mind to look at the problem as it actually is. One of the things that I realized, and I realized this even before going over there, was that our African brothers have gained their independence faster than you and I here in America have. They've also gained recognition and respect as human beings much faster than you and I.
Perfect. I don't want to go too much into the speech, take too much of our time, but go ahead, watch that. But again, I'm going to do my own research about this. Very, very fascinating. And I want to kind of get all you guys' input on this. But man, it's just, you got to watch the movie. If you, I know Utter, you have not, Noura, you have not. Watch the movie. It's pretty good. At the end, it places some clips from his actual speeches. And he was a very fiery orator. One thing that he did when he was in prison is he studied the dictionary. So even though he did not, he literally would go on debates at University of Chicago, go get head-to-head, toe-to-toe against people, and was invited on campuses because people could not win a debate against him because he would quote words. He would translate words. And watch the movie. It's very, very powerful. I mean, everyone, we get a day off from Martin Luther King. And it's very, very interesting that I remember reading the book By Any Means Necessary. I just want to share this thing with you guys. The FBI and CIA followed him when he went to Hajj, when he literally, Malcolm X was among the first people to stand up for Palestine. We're talking about the 1960s and 70s, man. Malcolm X, when he went to Saudi Arabia, he met with the king there. He was way ahead of his time on a lot of the things, and majority of what he's saying right now is so relevant today in the protests, what happened in Ferguson, what happened here. And one thing I want to share personally is this Black Lives Matter does affect, Sandra Bland? She went to Willowbrook High School, the one I went to. Noor, you go to that school right now? And dude, I was in AP US History or AP English, and she was a grade ahead of me, and she was in class with me. This is the person that got pulled over several years ago in Texas, had a job interview there, and then she was found dead in prison. And her whole story, little by little, as it was revealed, it was, she was actually, like, when the dash camera was released, she was shot off screen. Her mugshot, she was already asleep on the floor. Who takes a mugshot on the floor? Man, this stuff is really relevant, and it is something that affects us all. We live in America. We thought with President Barack Obama that we lived in a post-racial America. No, I think just like 9/11, we saw the hate of Islamophobia years later. I think just also with so much of our country, man, is like the dying hold of what the majority minority shift about to happen. Anyhow, man, what do you want to talk about, Arthur? What did you think of that clip?
From an Islamic perspective, what can we take away from this protest, Yaser? Like, is this one of the signs of the Day of Judgment? Is this, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about, that these are like one of the ends of times that are coming?
Oh, definitely. We're definitely closer than the previous generation. And I don't know, man. Sheikh Yaser Khadi had a really awesome status on Facebook. If you guys want to take a read at it, maybe we can show it on screen sometime soon. But we're gonna just come back to this discussion, inshallah. Give us some time to kind of look it over. I do want you guys to watch the Netflix movie Malcolm X, or X as it's called. I'm gonna try to read the autobiography of this. I'm gonna try to get an audiobook. Short on time reading these days. But I did want to kind of talk about
one question, Yaser, I have is, in terms of what is the Muslims' approach in regards to these protests? What are what can we do to help?
So, I mean, peaceful protests happen all the time, dude. Palestinians have been peacefully protesting for decades. They don't get much media coverage. I've been going to protests since, high school. I remember when I first came to the States, Bosnia and Kosovo, when that was happening, we were having there was protests, but war in Iraq, Afghanistan. Anytime there's happening, the CA, recently thing with what happened in India and Burma, so many protests, and man, there's just so much for us to. I do think we should peacefully protest. I do think that. I mean, Martin Luther King got a lot of his stuff from Gandhi, like peaceful protests. I'm sad that they've kind of evolved like into looting and things. That's totally wrong, man. That's where these stores were barely opening up because of coronavirus. They've been hit, small business owners, and they were just preparing to open up. We're entering phase 3 here in Illinois, and man, the looting and stuff. And you know what? It's not just that like the minorities looting. It's also plenty of, everyone is looting, dude. It's messed up. I mean, it's just sad, man. I mean, I'm disappointed, and this is not a way to show, dissidents. There's a way you should peacefully protest. And I don't know. I just found it very interesting. A lot of local media news stations were finally reporting for the first time, like, oh, we're reporting like it's just ABC News, NBC, MSNBC. They just for the first time actually doing some field reporting. And some of the questions that they were asking the protesters was like, really, where have you been living under a rock? You don't know what's going on. But where do you get most of your news from, Noor?
Oh, well, I don't watch much news. I just hear people say gossips, Yeah, this said, that said, this said, that said, and that's how I know all my news.
What about you out there? When something happens, do you turn on the television?
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, like definitely Twitter and Snapchat, because like they have a lot of people just
actual
news, and like Twitter, like you hear all different people's opinions, and that's what I like to do, is hear both sides of the party, just to ensure that I could hear all the biases and then make a decision.
I know Will Smith said something interesting. There's not more police brutality. We're just filming it more.
Yeah.
So I do think that this has been going on, man. The Central Park thing. Did you guys see that video of the lady who had a dog and just African American man was sitting there. He was watching a bird. Very reputable. He was from, he's got Harvard. He went to Harvard and everything. He just asked her, "Can you please put your dog on a leash?" They were part of park where it's part of the Central Park rules that dogs need to be on a leash, because it was like a area of the park that attracts different birds, and I'm a bird watcher myself, and you follow that story, man. There's just so many things happening. Did you got the footage of, I'm sure by now most of us have seen that footage. It's disturbing, man. And I mean, I always just get shocked. My relatives in India, they're always like, Yaser, all the stuff that happens in the United States, we're surprised there's not that many protests. Do you think that people are finally waking up? What do you think out there? I mean, I think we are living through a historic time.
If you look at like all these, on like a macro level, just look at all the CEOs, like, saying, we support equality. We are against racism. If you look at the Target looting that happened, the CEO of Target was like, listen, like we could easily replace all the goods and services in the store. We right now have to focus on ensuring that the communities that we invest in are safe and get their voices heard. So it's definitely a wake-up call on a bigger scale, and even for the individual people that didn't realize that racism is still a thing. There is police brutality. There is privilege for certain people out there. I think it's a wake-up call for the whole world, man, especially for people in the United States.
I mean, here's what I would like to say to all of my peers. We always see protests in other countries, and we're like, oh, that's not going to happen ever. It's not going to ever happen here. Mm-hmm. And I mean, what's a global world, man? Like this tiny microscopic thing that we don't not see can, the coronavirus doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, wealthy or not. I mean, we, the United States, we have 1/3 of the world's cases. We have like 5% of the population. We are the leader when it comes to like mismanagement. And I mean, Dr. Sheikh Al-Khali said something about like no empire lasts forever. I would hate to kind of, we are here where we are, but like the world is changing, man. Like the global powers are changing. Like just I don't know, man. It definitely is gonna go down in the history books. I mean, I
I
lived through
feel like
9/11.
this. If you want to listen to this, small advice from Prophet and everything, because you know that what's happening what's gonna happen right now, because he went to the future. There's one hadith that he says, "Going to the future, he saw a lot of things and he knew a lot of things about what was gonna happen." So he said this. He said, "When you are in the last days of the world, one thing you should do: stay at your house most of the time, close your mouth, and do your prayers. That's mostly what you can do." Because you can know who's right, who's wrong, everything is messed up. Who are you gonna follow? You can't do nothing. Maybe he's right, maybe the other guy is right. So the best thing is stay at your home, do your prayers, ask Allah for help, and that's it.
I mean, I really hope that everyone staying at home has kind of made a connection with God and has reflected. And I thought you said something amazing to me the other day. Just yesterday, was it? That you're like, man, people would believe or are skeptics even after seeing what the coronavirus has been doing. They think it's a conspiracy theory. They're more likely to believe in irrational thoughts than actually believe in the actual science and the actual that. And just like that, when it comes to God too, your connection with God and oh, I heard an echo. But like Arthur, can you say that again? I'm trying to remember what you said.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I think I was talking to Rayhan yesterday in our voice note group chats. Oh man, these are two up close faces right here, man.
I'll fix that. My bad.
Thank you. But like, you often like when you talk to a lot of people that are curious about Allah, right, and like the afterlife and all these things, they always say like signs. There's not enough signs, and you can empathize a little bit because based on their background, their whole life, it's all visual. They need to see something, or they need to have proof of concept that it exists. That's where faith comes in for us Muslims to show that we do have that faith in Allah. We can't see the angels, we can't see the jinns, we can't see a lot of things, but we have that faith, and it's backed up by logic, right? So that's how we have like this faith. And I always wondered like why other people couldn't have it. And you, like I said, you can understand it. But if you look at this like coronavirus, right? People are dying, man. People are going to the hospitals. There's hospitals in Chicago that are being reopened up after 10 years, man. It's not a joke. You could there's somebody that made a website where you could see all the data of people getting, affected by corona, people that are dying. Like I'm sure we all know people that got affected by it, And you then go back to, the news and you see these people protesting like it's a hoax. It's liberal manipulation to take down Trump. And at that point you're like, it's all these signs, but they're still blind.
Yeah.
So life is, it just goes back to, what you were just saying in terms of signs, man.
I mean, I always find it so strange too. Like people are he's likely to believe in. I mean, I want to make an episode about like the Pentagon releasing stuff about getting all over the place, but about aliens, about that unidentified flying phenomenons, UFOs, and people will believe in that, but they won't believe in like
the logic of like just things that are around him with the signs. Absolutely.
SubhanAllah. Anyhow, but one assignment before we talk about this topic again, I did want all of us to kind of do a little bit of research on Malcolm X for all of us. I mean, that's why I even put the thumbnail of Malcolm X Monday. Just coined that phrase. I doubt it's going to go anywhere, but I just wanted to get people to kind of reflect on that, and let's do some research because man, this guy, he's Muslim, especially his last year of his life after he came back from Hajj. Luckily, that's just the clip that we ended up showing. Just our luck. And I wanted all of us to kind of somewhat reflect on that, inshallah, God willing. And I want to thank you guys for those of you guys who have watched. I know we don't have too many viewers, but it doesn't matter. We're just going to catch up, inshallah. So jazakumullahu khairan. And do tune in again. We will be trying to come on. We were eventually going to start posting this on a group for this, that we can kind of get this going. And any last words from you guys? Noor, do you want to end up with a dua or anything like that?
I think the last thing I want to maybe advise, just don't do anything without first think about it, or don't follow anything, don't follow anyone without think about it 100 times before you do it, especially in our time. Don't take any decision before you think about it. That's the only thing I can say.
That's definitely some good advice because I do think that we are in a time where young people just don't. I mean, we've been there, done that. It's not like we're that old, but please, just when you're frustrated and fed up, there's venues. Be creative, write something, do something. I mean, a lot of times war and revolution stuff is on the backs of young people, and they're the ones who end up going to prison and jail and getting their futures messed up. And don't think it's hopeless. It's never too late. Alhamdulillah, we have this opportunity. We all have a thing. We're blessed, man. Even if things look bad, it could be worse. So it can be better. Are there any words from you?
I think definitely there's a quote that my mom always tell me, she said that a smart person can fix a problem, a wise one creates none. Of course, always try to solve as much as you can in this world for yourself and for the world and humanity. But I think most importantly in this time, be safe. Don't do anything crazy. Support your brothers and sisters that are going through this time. There's communities that are in need right now that need us. And if you're privileged enough to, not have to worry about, what's going to happen to you tomorrow, go out there and help volunteer, help donate. It's important, man, that we all got to be together as one, because this is what, Malcolm X would want. This is what Martin Luther King would want. He wouldn't want looting or breaking into small businesses. He would obviously want us to support each other in a civic way. So, yeah.
SubhanAllah, yes. So, inshallah, with that, we will come back when we actually have some more research and some more quality content to talk about. Hope you guys liked. We're gonna inshallah work on it too, and God willing, we wish the best for anybody who's passed away unjustly. We wish them justice. We wish their families peace, and anyone out there seeking truth, and all of us are on a journey to improve and to get better. So anyone who's out there who's got good character, to get better character. Anyone who's out there who's lost time to get on a path to get yourself cleaned and on a better path. And anyone who's literally out there seeking truth, please do so. There's so much for us to learn and give, and there's a purpose of life. And I hope all of us find time to be successful, inshallah, in this world and the hereafter.
Ameen.
All right. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. We seek refuge in Allah, in God, from Satan the accursed. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Wal asr. Time is a witness that innal insana lafi khusr, that all of mankind is in a state of loss. We're all losers. Illa alladhina, except those amanu wa amilu salihat, those who believe, those who have faith and do good deeds. Wa tawasaw bil haqq wa tawasaw bis sabr, and those who promote the truth and those who promote patience. So that's what we're trying to encourage everyone to have patience, inshallah, God willing. Assalamu alaikum, guys.
Salam wa rahmatullah.
Like, comment, subscribe, spread the word.